Welcome to Convo Sessions. I am here with a special guest, Ryan Sarkkinen, and he is a coach from Washington, and he has a lot of great things to say, so we'll just dive right in. Thanks for being here, Ryan.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. So you want to tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. So I am a business coach. I help small businesses ultimately by reducing stress and accelerating success. Pretty short and simple.
Yeah, that's a really good mission statement. We all have so much
Yeah,
stress, especially when we get thrown these curveballs like COVID-19.
totally. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Stress through the roof in many cases.
exactly. So I was looking at your LinkedIn profile, and you said that you have a 5-step process to help eliminate stress and to make more money, more profit in less hours. So that's something I think every entrepreneur would love to learn how to do, including myself. So you want to explain a little bit about your process?
Absolutely. Yeah. So like you said, the 5 steps, I think the 5 steps are no mystery really to anybody, but by seeing them laid out in 5 steps is allows for a lot of clarity.
Okay, yeah.
And it does start with where I think everything should start with a strong vision. You need to identify something that you're working toward. And with the vision and the subset goal setting, I really break it down personally. And with an entrepreneur, it's not okay, in my opinion, to only focus on the business because their life is such an integral part of their whole day. So you got
Exactly,
to focus.
especially as an entrepreneur, because it like kind of comes into the house, into home, especially
Yes.
when you're working from home.
Yeah, right now, especially too, you got kids that you're trying to get on the teacher's Zoom calls.
Yeah.
Yeah. So identifying, first off, I break goal setting down into 3 things. I actually learned this from Tony Robbins and have adapted it in my own teaching.
All right.
When you're talking about the vision, it's first identifying the self goals. So there's kind of 3 of them. There's who the self goals is, who do you want to be as a person? And you can start to think about, how do I want to be remembered? Who are the people I want to have relationships with? And what type of relationships do I want to have? What do I want to be spending my days doing? Do I want to be learning new things? What kind of new things do I want to be learning?
Yeah.
How do I want my physical body health to be?
Mm-hmm.
Where do I want to experience and rely on? So all the spiritual aspect of it. So the identifying your self goals is critical, because if anything you're doing is out of alignment with your self goals, you're not going to be satisfied. You're not going to be fulfilled.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. I find like I like the holistic approach to life. Like a lot of
Totally.
times I talk to business coaches and it's just business, but I like how you're making everything come together, because my family matters more than the business. My health, if it's bad, then the business won't be thriving because I won't be able to work at optimum levels. And everything kind of like leans on each other. And sometimes when we try and focus on one thing, to me, it's not effective, especially
Mm-hmm.
for entrepreneurs. Again, we are just in a different boat than other people
Yeah.
because it's all on us. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a
It's
great
not a
approach.
lifestyle, a life silo and a business silo, but
Yeah,
they're integral.
exactly. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So you learned that from Tony Robbins, or you just
Yeah.
have been?
Tony Robbins, and then I adapted it to my own teaching style too. So
Yep.
moving on from the self is then the thing goals, and this is going to be more, what things do you want to have in your life? So not only having your own business, but
Yeah.
what kind of car do you want to drive? Where do you want to live? What kind of house do you want to have? What kind of trips and experiences do you want to have? And then the third is the financials, or what does it take to in order to do that kind of stuff is ultimately. And then from there, you've identified the long-term big vision for who you want to be as a human.
Yeah.
Now we can then look at, how is the business going to help me get there?
Okay. Yeah.
And does the business have me being a influencer? Does the business having me run an actual brick and mortar or physical location with 100 employees generating $10 million a year in revenue in order for me to make my 100,000 that I want to make income. So you can start running the numbers and making sure that everything is in alignment.
Yeah.
And also is a tremendous value, and we've experienced now with the whole world situation what it is, having that long-term vision solidified gives us an anchor point when we do need to pivot.
Yeah. Very good.
And if you pivot because you're reacting versus going on the offense, when you go on the offense, it's because you already have the identified vision. It's like your boat was blowing off course. Well, you just readjust your course a few degrees and you'll still make it forward.
Yeah. I like that approach. I like the reverse engineering, because a lot of people always have these big goals, but they don't ever break it down to little steps of how can I get there. So I always, that's one of the first things I did when I was like, okay, I started my business in 2018. I looked, I'm like, what do I want to do this year? Okay, I want to make this amount of money. I'm hoping to have this amount of clients, or, get in front of this many people. And I had to reverse engineer it, because if I didn't, then it'd be like November, and I'd be like, oh shoot, I'm $30,000 short. I didn't speak on 100 stages. I've only spoken on 2, So, but people don't do that reverse engineering process. So I think that's a really, really key way of teaching your clients. And so tell me a little bit about your clients. What's your typical client?
Yeah, so I would highlight somebody who's actually in the marketing arena, digital marketing. She has an agency where she does marketing for companies.
Yeah.
Both, they will do account management for the companies. They'll partner with the restaurant or the small business and do their marketing for them. Then she does also just some consulting work where they'll hire her for the consulting, but they'll do the work themselves.
Okay.
And a combination of the above. And then she also has an outreach program where she works with local high schools to help teach the kids digital health, how to be healthy in front of the computer and what to do and what not to do.
Awesome.
So she kind of has a full aspect of it. And she has a team of 7 employees, and they just onboarded a new employee during this time, and their business is still moving forward.
That's great. Well, it's a perfect time for online stuff.
Totally, exactly. And then also she's got 2 kids at home, and she's a single mother. So having that balance. So our last conversation we had was the first half hour talking about her whole stress at home situation. The second half hour of the conversation was talking about the team management and how to get them all to move forward on the next big phase that she's wanting to implement.
Yeah.
So that's an awesome example right there of a client that I have. Another one would be a guy who has a auto body shop. An auto body shop right now, interestingly enough, nobody driving on the road, nobody's getting an accident. So his business has been plummeted. So he's looking at ways of figuring out, do we add car detailing? Do we add this, that, or the other thing to try to get some people coming in the door for other things that may not necessarily be related to a fender bender?
Yeah. And you know what, looking at all of this in a more positive half glass full light, I think it's good for a lot of people to be like, okay, you know what, for the longest time, we were only offering A, and that's been good. But because it's been good, they've been kind of lax with innovation. So this way they're kind of like, wait, should we do this? Should we do that? And that it will be interesting to see if he keeps that up. Has he said anything about maybe once everything gets back to normal, keeping that like division open almost, or?
Yeah, and the nice thing is it was already in conversations by working with him, identifying things that were potentially ways of growing the business. So this is an opportunity for him to realize why it's so important to have these options available.
Yeah.
And he's thankful that they were already taking action on some of these things, because they were in a lot healthier position than somebody who, had they not been already started those action steps.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. All right, so switching directions here, I read one of your articles and it was about being on the offensive versus being on the defenses. This is something that I'm always throwing out there. I'm always pushing to anyone who will listen. So do you want to explain that article a little bit and why you think even in COVID times, we need to be on the offensive making moves as opposed to like the natural reaction, which I think is to play more defensive?
Yeah, here's a fantastic example. A lot of BNI chapters are actually having less attendance at the moment.
Yeah.
As a result, there are slots opening up. If you could get into one of those BNI chapters that has been otherwise a strong chapter, but they had your industry already locked out. Now's your chance to get in there. And then in the next month or two, as we start being able to attend in person, and right now they're doing it on Zoom calls, you can get your slot, and boom, that opens up future business opportunity that was locked out because somebody out there was on the defensive and they're staying home, and so they're deciding not to attend BNI, so it's opening up opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a perfect example.
So that's just a matter of what's out there, what's going on, and how can I identify and capitalize on it. Another thing is, even if you are shut down, which there's many industries that are legally not allowed to work at this point, where can I work on my business during this time? What kind of new techniques can I bring into my hairstyling business so that way I have an edge? Or my restaurant, where can I figure out how to get a little more percentage points of profit when it do open back up, so I'll be in a better position to withstand? I mean, sad story, one of my favorite cafes here in town, I caught a rumor that they were going to be closing down, so I called them yesterday, and unfortunately it was too late for me to step in and help them because they were cleaning that place out, and it's a sad reality of the situation it is.
Yeah.
And you do need to still pay your lease, but what can you do proactively on that? So if you're a restaurant that is currently shut down and you know it's going to be another month before you're able to open up, and even then it's going to be at a limited capacity, what can you do right now to be proactive?
Yeah.
Of course, there's down here in the States, we've got an act passed that businesses can apply for paycheck protection. And there's ways of calling your landlord and say, hey, can we postpone the lease payment right now?
Okay.
Well, we struggle to get through this, and work with people, call the bank that you owe money on. And so many people are so willing to work with you that you can stop the cash drain substantially, or slow it down substantially, at least right now, by being proactive and acting on things instead of going, woe is me, woe is us, because we're shut down and we're just going to pull the plug.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I'm still working. Obviously, my whole thing is digital, so it was just like I stopped going into my office and I kept going full steam ahead. But for others, it wasn't like that. Like my husband's a painter. He is sitting home. Well, thankfully, he's doing a lot of like the domestic stuff. It makes life easy for me. But it's like these are the times where you look at your business. And what I had been telling a couple of clients that I have is just like, look at your business, figure out your processes. I like, even for myself, I was like, wow, why was I doing that? That wastes so much time for me. I need to like shift my gears a little bit. And then I just opened up like half an hour out of my day, or I'm able to streamline certain things that I was just kind of doing because I was doing them. But now that I've had a little extra time to sit and think, it's been a good time to work on my business as opposed to in my business, especially for those people who aren't. But I kind of also feel like it's, I don't know if it's Newton's law, like a body at rest stays at rest. Is it Newton? I don't know. So I just, something like that. So I'm like, I kind of look at people and they're like, remote control in one hand, beer in the other hand. And I'm like, guys, it's not over. Like, we're going to get back to real life in a month or two, hopefully. Get working on your business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And part of it too is,
oh, go on. Sorry.
Yeah. So the second of my 5 steps is actually optimizing your environment.
Nice.
And we see it now. You talked about the beer in one hand, the remote in the other hand, and how that person, when things finally do open back up, they're going to be behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
They are going to be struggling, as opposed to finding groups of people. And right now, there's a lot of them who are hanging out online, whether it be LinkedIn or Facebook groups or whatever social media platform of choice. Follow those people who are out there still doing stuff, out there still working on themselves, working on personal growth, working on their business, instead of hanging out with that crowd that talks about the latest shows that they're watching, or how their favorite sporting event has been canceled, or woe is the world. And that mindset is such a huge shift. And I was just reflecting yesterday, in fact, how there's all this stuff about there, how people are wearing their pajamas all day. And I was like, I don't really feel that. And I was realizing it's because I'm plugged into people who are all about going and doing it. My clients are going and doing it. The influencers I follow are going and doing it. The peers that I have in business that I've chosen to hang out with, they're going and doing it. They're figuring out ways. They're still waking up in the morning. And if they're at home, they're doing what they can. If they can get out the door because they have an office that they can just be by themselves at, they're still going and doing it. They're still calling up people and keeping these relationships going. Even if it may not be money coming in the door, they're doing the exact opposite of sitting on their pajamas all day.
Exactly. Yeah. And you know, once I opened my own business and just in life, I realized this really early on. Who you hang out with can either elevate you or bring you down. And that's just a fact of life, whether you are 7 or whether you're in your 30s and you have your own business. Because I know a ton of people, I see it on Facebook, it's just like pajamas all day, every day, talking about how much they've like gained over the past month, and just talking about basically television shows nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
Yeah.
You gotta watch Ozark, you gotta watch this and that and this and that. And I'm just like, man, now is the time to push ahead. But then I realized, hey, you know what? This works out for me. And the people who I know who are like just going full throttle, all their competition are like heels up and they're just digging in and running towards the prize basically. And once everything opens back up, they're going to be ahead because they were doing what you said, optimizing their time, doing learning, becoming better people, and learning how to like make their systems flow nicely and optimize their, you know, business. So,
Exactly.
and that's exactly, it's the offense. And that's why I preach it nonstop, because I really believe in that. So
totally. That's the antidote to failure.
It really is, because it's a mindset thing. But I think sometimes I look at it and I'm just like, is like, some people have more of a drive than others. Like there's a reason I'm not an Olympian, because I don't want to work too long at anything. Like I'm not going to be training for 16 years, 16 hours a day for one race. What do you think makes people so driven? Like you have the extreme Olympians or whoever they are, and they're like doing their thing. Then you have someone on the other end of the spectrum. I'm assuming most of us kind of fall in the middle. But when you're looking at your clients or just anybody, you know, that's just really successful, what do they have going on behind the scenes that is like pushing them? And how can we do this?
Yeah. Going back to that vision, the strong why. The stronger the why, the easier the how.
Okay.
The more willing you're able to do it. And my brother-in-law was just visiting with him today, how one of his boys learned to walk. This boy is 9 years old and he can walk around on his hand. He can go upstairs and downstairs and can walk around for, 15 minutes at a time on his hand.
Yeah.
And he was talking to the siblings and it's like, wow, look how good he is at walking on his hand. But the siblings got to see all the hours and hours and hours of relentless pursuit that the boy practiced and practiced and practiced. It's like, you can have that too if you're willing to do the practice. So it comes down to, how bad do you want it?
I guess so. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that makes sense. Anything.
By identifying the strong values of who it is you are, what you stand for, what are your core beliefs, it gives you that alignment aid to make sure that when you identify something, is it in alignment with who I want to be as a human? And if it is, then you have that much stronger of a desire to pursue it.
Yeah.
If it's a shiny object that is actually going to detract because, yes, it might be more money, but it's actually going to cause my relationship with my spouse to go, or my relationship with my kids to be less than it should be, than I would want it to be. You might chase shiny object syndrome for a while. You're going to quickly get burned out because your life is diverging from what's in alignment.
Yeah.
But by staying in alignment, and if it is true that gold medal is part of your identity, then you will have the drive to get there.
Yeah.
It's just
so
a matter
intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. It's something, if I were to like become a doctor of something, it would be of what makes those like 1% of people doing it different. It's just something that has always fascinated me for some reason.
Yeah.
Okay, switching gears again. When it comes to digital, what's working for you? How are you doing it? Obviously, I am a digital marketer, so I have to bring this into the podcast conversation.
Absolutely.
And we'd love to know, for all the coaches watching, what they could do that can work.
Yeah, I've amped up my social media strategies big time, because prior to this, I did most of my marketing face-to-face, going to networking groups, talking with people, and spreading word of mouth. But now there's zero marketing face-to-face happening. So I started a Facebook group, and just being in there and engaging and learning how to post and what type of content to post to bring that engagement up. And I'm working with a gal right now helping with my marketing, and she was just talking this morning with me how she's compared my analytics against people who have a lot more followers than me, but my engagement is up 100 times over what their engagement is, because I'm going in there and I'm learning. So not only do I tap into somebody who can tell me exactly what to do, because I have no clue, so I trust an expert and they can tell me, and then I go and I do it. So it's A, figuring out what to do and trusting somebody to tell you, and B, action.
Awesome. You know what, honestly, when I look at clients, those are the two things I'm looking for. I'm looking for the person who's like, listen, I don't know, that's why I hired you, you tell me. And then the second thing to be like, and then I'll do it. And those kinds of clients, you can see the difference because, you know, they do what they should do. And then it's just nice to see results, because I'm like, yeah, that's what you're paying me for.
Absolutely.
So that's awesome that you're listening to her. So like, what kind of things are you posting? So your main digital focus is your Facebook group?
Facebook and LinkedIn right now. And because I put so much focus on Facebook, I realized that LinkedIn hasn't been quite as consistent as it had been.
Yeah.
So I need to start double utilizing my content in both situations.
Yeah.
But so my Facebook group is called Extraordinary Entrepreneurship.
Okay.
And so I'm asking questions there and posting content on tidbits on how to have an extraordinary life while navigating building a business, which comes down to just what we were talking about: having the strong desire, having the why, having the vision, having the plan of action going on, having the environment, being surrounded by people. This is one of those ways you can be around people who are also building their business and also wanting to live extraordinary lives in the process. So an example of something I posted was, I just read a quote that my wife had sent me last week about how your smile is your trademark or something like, I don't remember exactly how it went now, but, and it's just like, this is so just sharing little tidbits on that and asking for people their opinion on something.
Yeah.
And it invites engagement.
Okay. So it's almost like a mastermind, or?
It's not masterminding in the sense that we're meeting up regularly, but it's just me going in there and posting content on a daily, 5 days a week. That's where I'm doing it. 5 days a week. I'll take a little video of me. I had to overcome my own fears of wanting to be on video.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, here's me just talking to a computer, to a camera.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to talking face to face with somebody. So in posting that kind of content on there and making sure if people find it valuable, because I found it valuable, that I can share it.
Yeah. The camera in the face, no one really is comfortable with that. It's just something you have to get over if you want to see success. And a lot of times people are spending like 9 hours on social media a day. A lot of that is video. I guess 1/3 of the time spent on the internet is on video. So if you're not on video, you're just losing a whole bunch of potential clients. And this is for everyone. Most people, I've never really met the client that's like, I just want the camera in front of my face. Usually it's just like this, you gotta do it, you gotta do it. And I was uncomfortable. Like before, I always say, before I started this business, I didn't have a selfie, because why would I? That's weird to me. Like I'm too old for that. Now that I'm doing the business, it's the camera in the face, speaking to the camera, getting the information out there. And I know it works for me, because I've had clients come and say, okay, I want to work with you, I want to pay you. And once my customers and clients start doing it, I see people say, okay, I want to buy your product, or I want to work with you as a coach. And that's a huge way. You got to show them that you know what you know, or else why would they trust you, right? So,
yeah, exactly. I can write anything, but if I say it in my face and I put myself out there, I'm human as opposed to a document.
Yeah, it humanizes the brands.
Totally.
Yeah. So any other closing remarks for the viewers? Anything let's provide value for them?
Provide value. I'll just recap. So the 5 steps: the vision was first, the optimizing your environment was second, upgrading your skills. Oftentimes there are things we can learn, and that's part of being on the offense, is what new skills can I learn going into this that will emerge stronger. Mastering your mind and emotions is probably where most of the progress actually made, is getting over those fears, doubts, and limiting beliefs. And then that strategic action plan, doing the reverse engineering of where it is that we want to get, starting with the lifetime vision, then you go like to 10-year business goal. You break that down to a 5-year, to a 1 year, to a 6 month, 3 month. 1 month, this week, and then today. And then never leave sight of your goals without taking action on them.
Yeah. So would you say people should look at their goals daily, or and then try and like daily take steps towards them, or if just going over them once a week would be enough?
Once a week is what I do myself, and that's what I recommend, is having a goal booklet and reviewing those goals. And usually by Friday, I'll have the bulk of my next week's goals identified that are bigger action items,
Okay.
but the day-to-day stuff will end up filling in the blanks. So that reminder that, yep, this is what I'm looking forward to, and periodically looking at the bigger vision and making sure that's front in my mind. And
Yeah.
it also helps from my perspective as I'm helping my clients with that, is I get to tell them my own vision. So that is constantly reminding myself of what it is also.
Yeah. So it's almost accountability.
Yep.
Like say it out loud and it has to happen.
Yeah. And on that accountability, I have a coach.
Oh yeah?
Having somebody to visit with every Friday is huge.
Okay.
In my case, it's Fridays. So
yeah. Yeah, a lot of coaches have coaches, and I think it's because we understand how much it works and helps their business and pushes you along. So, and it's nice to be able to chat.
Exactly.
And that's the one thing about entrepreneurship we didn't really touch on, but it's kind of it can be lonely because you are the person making the decisions. You're kind of alone doing that. And that's, I think a lot of people like coaches just to even bounce ideas off of. So.
Yeah, somebody to visit with that is in the trenches, knowing the ins and outs, the struggles, the joys. You know, it's like when somebody, if you have a phenomenal week and you killed it and you had $10,000 sale, you can't just go to your daily friend and say, hey, you know, I want to share this great news. I had a $10,000 sale today. And, you know, they're going to be going kind of like, well, they can't relate.
Yeah.
Because if they're working for a paycheck, and yes, they get their, you know, $4 or $5 grand every month on a consecutive basis. They don't know what it's like to go 4 weeks without getting paid, or a month or 5 months without getting paid, and then have a big payday. You just don't know what that emotional roller coaster is. So visiting with somebody that you can have that relationship with is tremendous.
Yeah, that's so true. The people who I know that I'm like, hey, oh man, I landed a new client. I'm so happy. They're just like, that's nice. But then other people who are in my boat are like, oh my gosh, good for you. This is awesome. So it's so true. It's like, it's a different way of living. It really is. It's a lifestyle unto itself. So,
you know, and there's ordinary, and then there's extraordinary. And this is the extraordinary lifestyle.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing and how we can live an extraordinary life as entrepreneurs. And do you want to just tell people how they can follow you, or?
So I'm happy to have you join my group, Extraordinary Entrepreneurship. It's on Facebook. It's open to the public. You can just apply there. You can follow me, my personal page, Ryan Sarkkinen, or my business page, RS Coaching.
All right. Thanks so much.
You bet. It was great, Sherry.